Hello and welcome to a brief case study video on the subject of one of our most recent clients. So this is a customer who is using Salesforce for their CRM and their service management platform. They're also using Monday.com, and they had a real challenge because it was really difficult to get all of their data out of the system into some sensible reporting, primarily because their Salesforce have been heavily customized, and also because they're using a few different systems. They're using Sage 50 for accounts, they were using Salesforce for CRM and the field service elements. They had some add-ins to Salesforce. They also had Monday.com for their ticketing system and some of the project management elements. And finally, they had a phone system from a company called 3CX. So a broad range of systems. They wanted a unified reporting, and this actually bizarrely only took us about 6 weeks to complete. Most of it was done in the first 3 weeks, and then we did a few tweaks and changes in the second 3 weeks. So really high-speed project and some really great results. So this is refreshing every few minutes. So we're synchronizing incremental refresh with Salesforce, with Monday.com. Monday.com is a fairly challenging platform to get decent reporting out of because of the way the backend is structured. And that's because the front end is so flexible. You can build any board you like. You can build any number of different columns. It's very flexible front end, but it's quite challenging to get the reporting. We built a script to handle that so that every board in the front end of Monday, if you've used Monday, is converted to a table in the back end. Really quite cool what we were able to do with that. And that gives us a really good idea as to what's going on. So what did we do in Power BI? So we've brought all of this data into Power BI and we're synchronizing every few minutes. So service sales. So this is basically based on how many call outs have been ordered, essentially. So if anybody places a call out or a service request, that is obviously racking up the revenue, and that's tracked against a target, and there is a target and there's a stretch target too. So this was where we were able to use a custom visual. So we've actually put two visuals together here to show the sales, the target, and the stretch target 1 and 2 to give the values. But we've also put them in this gauge so you can see it against it. And this gauge here is actually a custom visual that we use for Play Store. So we're from the Microsoft Store. So we're not just using the standard out-of-the-box visuals, we're actually using some custom ones as well. So it's given us a really clear idea. We're 87% of the target. We're also doing some other clever stuff with targets here as well. So you can see here that the target's adjusting. So we're only actually 2 days in the month and the target's only 300k. And then we've got some further stretch target here as well. That's last month, but then this month the target's registering at 27k. So what's going on there? And that's because it's month to date. So we're using a calendar table and we're using a targets table. And what that targets table is handling is we've set a monthly target, but it's taking into account weekends and bank holidays, working out the quantity of working days, dividing the target by the quantity of working days, and then it's showing the sales versus the target month to date. So in other words, we've had 2 days of the month, therefore our target's 27k, and we're 44%. Obviously it's fairly early, it's about midday on the second day of the month, so we're about halfway to that target. So we've had 1 day, halfway through the second day, halfway to the target, 44%. So it's really good. So that every minute, every time we place an order, we're visibly tracking towards that target. Really powerful for motivation and really helpful when you're trying to drive a team to get the very best out of the day. And this is another really interesting thing because this gauge is actually doing two very important things. It's handling jobs that are confirmed. So in other words, a job where we've gone to site and we know exactly how much we're going to charge, we know what parts we're going to use, etc. So we've had a confirmed quote and it's using the actual price for that, the actual cost to the client. But then there's a whole bunch of jobs that have been raised and agreed on, but we don't know what the actual price to the customer is going to be. And it's using an average price to handle that. So we've got confirmed orders and unconfirmed orders, and it's handling that average. And as soon as they get confirmed, it moves from the average price to the actual price. So this is changing all the time, but it's right up to the minute. So as soon as somebody says, yes, I want you to come out and service this piece of equipment, even though we don't have a confirmed value, there is a value being added to the dashboard and confirmed as we go through. So some pretty cool stuff going on, but presented as two really nice clear graphs. So we know exactly whether we're winning or losing 5 seconds, which is what it's all about. We've got some stuff on contracts, we've got some stuff on phone calls. So this is coming out of a 3CX phone system. If you're using 3CX, you'll be familiar that it's pretty difficult to get some reporting out of it. And we're doing some really cool stuff here with working out the average wait time, calls made, calls missed, outbound call time. Some of this data is a little bit heavy to load. Quite interesting actually. One of the things we are working on at the moment, creating what's called a incremental refresh so that this loads faster. But you can see we've got dynamic smiley face interface there. We've got some outbound call times. This is obviously going to be used on a screen. That's something worth just talking about a little bit. So this is displayed in the office on a wallboard. They're using a platform called Yodeck for that. We typically recommend a platform called Embed Signage, and we manage Embed Signage for a lot of our clients. So this is on a screen, it's live, and it's completely remotely controlled. You're not having to work with a browser or anything. It's just switching between the screens. So they're really happy with this, and it's proving to be really, really reliable and working really, really well.